That's what it's like to have a beast running around your backyard. King of extreme right there. Look at that. Pure freaking muscle movement. This is a real American bully. Not an exotic, but the real deal. We built all around dogs here, regardless of what other people try to say to knock us down when they can't beat us. All around dogs. We may not be perfect, but to carry that kind of substance in mass, ain't no dog compared. Not yet.
I told you, man, special day today. Welcome to the Muscletone facilities. We got a big announcement coming up today. The biggest sale in American bully history, man. And Bully Talk is there. Pitts is a part of it, man. Welcome to the Muscletone camp. All right, Bashad, I gotta ask you, man. Muscletone is not only just a brand, man. It's a lifestyle.
It is for Muscletone, for all the teams. I mean, it is originally a brand, but the brand allowed us to have the lifestyle that we have. We have one thing all in common: is we're all into bodybuilding. We're all like into working out. We like powerful cars, and you know, we all get to travel for our work. You know, it's the bully world. So travel for shows, travel to, you know, export and import dogs back and forth. So it allows us to visit the world as well. So it comes with a lot of perks, for sure. You know, it's all company expense at the end of the day because it really is work. So get a little, it's fun. It makes you enjoy life, man. It makes you enjoy your work. And when you enjoy your work, it doesn't feel like work anymore. It just feels like a lifestyle.
I guess the old saying is, work hard, play hard.
That's definitely it. Work hard, play hard, for sure.
How you enjoy the toys, man?
I love the toys. I can't get enough toys. I had 9. I cut down. So, you know, we have the Aventador Roadster, we have the SLS Black Series, and now the 570 McLaren, which is added to the garage. You know, we have other, you know, the Escalade for a daily driver. There's also an S65 my brother drives that we have here. So we have a lot of cars. We're not lacking cars. I think at one point, I just had an addiction to buying cars. Couldn't walk into a dealership without walking out without a car I saw. Now I'm a little more in control. I'm kind of happy what I have. Everything is custom, obviously, because I can't keep nothing stock. I just constantly, I have this thing in me constantly need to improve things. Kind of like with the dogs, they just need to improve. They need to improve. I'm never happy with what I have. I need to make it better and better and better and better. And I think that's the drive that allowed Muscletone to become the company it is. Always searching for more. Always wanting to go to the next plateau.
You know, speaking on that, Bashad, you know, just going back in time, let's go back in time a little bit.
Sure.
When you started to get to that point where you were starting to see the fruits of your labor, you're starting to make money with the Muscletone brand. Do you remember the first car you said, man, I really want this particular car?
First car. Yes. When I first started, I was more into the imports. You know, I had an S2000 that was really decked out. I had an SX at one point, and that's when I first started. But I fell in love with a Mercedes, and it was a really expensive Mercedes. I'm not even gonna say the number; it might give some people a heart attack. And it looked like an average Joe Schmo's car to everyone else, but the performance behind that car was unreal. But the price ticket was more than one of these. But I had to have it, and I knew eventually one day, you know, it was something I was gonna achieve, and I got it. And I think it took about a year before I got over it. And I needed to get something better, better and better. And there was like a never-ending point. So I made a list, and I was like, what are my 5 dream cars of all time? Budget aside. And I have 2 of my dream cars of all time. the Aventador Roadster, and the SLS Black Series. I'm short 3 of the cars that I haven't achieved yet.
What are those 3 cars?
So the Veneno Lamborghini, which I should have bought when it was brand new for $3 million. Now they're $12 million, 8 to 12.
Oh wow.
The other car is the LaFerrari, which Ferrari wouldn't allow you to buy even if you had the money. I had the opportunity to buy one time for 1.8 million, and I should have grabbed it, and I didn't grab it. I'm like, it's gonna go down, and it went up. Like it went way up. I was like, shit. So I screwed up on that one, and I've always wanted a Bugatti. So these are the 3 cars that I don't have that, one day I'm hoping to be in my garage.
Would you say for people that might not understand, when you get to that certain level when it comes to luxury and exotic cars, that what most people say, once you leave the lot, the car depreciates, but that's different when it comes to exotic cars.
Yes and no. I mean, it depends on the car you buy, and there was a time that was very true. It just depends on the car you buy and how long you hold on to it. So this is a 50th anniversary Lamborghini. There was 100 made, right? So there's not that many of those made. 100 Roadsters and 100 hardtops are made. So 200 total. This is the SLS Black Series. 132 made. Only 121 were actually sold to the public. So in the United States, I believe there were 79, if I'm not mistaken, or 89. I can't remember the exact number. So again, these are very rare cars. The one and only in this color was a custom paint job that we did. It's completely decked out. The car was listed for 1.2 million. I had offers all day long in the million that I refused. So it's a very rare car. Now I picked up that car for almost half that number. So it's quite a bit of a residual gain in there, right? So. Same with the Lamborghini. It's worth probably 150, 200,000 more than what we bought it for a year ago.
Oh,
so
wow.
they went up in price. So they're not a bad investment. I don't see them going down now that everything's going a different direction with the car world, with the electric motors and everything. People are going to want these. They're going to be collectors. They're rare. They're hard to find. And in those cases, they go up. The McLaren, on the other hand, is a fun toy. Would I say it's a good investment? Probably not. I probably paid way too much for it.
For the McLaren?
Yeah. So my brother picked up that car, saw it, beautiful, the black on red was gorgeous. And he wanted a supercar he could enjoy for, not a crazy amount, like $1 million. So it's a $200,000 supercar, but it's a badass car for that kind of price, for that price budget. Honestly, a year ago, we could have picked one of those cars up for $50,000 less, but they're up now, So I think he got a fair deal on it considering the market. Is it gonna keep going up? Maybe. It might drop. These 2 will not. So, but again, he didn't buy it to make money on it. He bought it, to enjoy it and have fun with it. So he did, in my opinion, you buy things to enjoy them. You know what I mean? It's not an investment. If it's an investment, you're not gonna drive it. It's just gonna sit in the garage. These cars get driven, So we get to enjoy them. We take them out at least 2-3 times a week. One of them, So.
Now, Bashar, you have a multi-million-dollar business with Muscletone brand.
Correct.
Now, do your kids get involved with the business? Because it's such a multi-million-dollar business. Do your kids get involved with that also as well?
Let's talk about this inside. I need an espresso. That's a lot of.
All right, we're gonna talk about this on the inside. Beautiful.
So come on in. This is the house. I bought this house because when I opened that door the first time I seen it, and I saw the view out with the waterfall from the pool and all the landscaping and all the trees and palm trees and flowers. It's just unreal. And they don't make houses like this anymore, guys. This house was built by an old Italian builder. Everything in here is imported from Italy, from the concrete, from the marble floors, the marble pillars. Everything was like hand custom made. It's not something you can just buy and throw up. Everything has to be ordered or hand sculpted. The office I didn't touch. It was already like this. I didn't even paint it. I just left it. It just fits its purpose. It's just simple. It's huge. It's big. I get to do all my work in here. Sorry, it's a mess right now. But the main purpose of the house is that view. Every morning I get my coffee in the kitchen. I walk out and look out the view. Everything here is custom, as everything else in Muscletone, right? Everything's designed. So everything was hand built by a carpenter from Hungary. and he built everything by hand.
Wow,
It's called,
this is beautiful.
it's all custom built, everything. I mean, he literally sat here and carved every piece, and then had an artist come in and stain and paint the house. As you see, this is gold stained all the way around. All the trim on the top ceiling, all hand painted, piece by piece, the medallions, all the faux in the house, you know, in every room in the entire house is, you know, this is done by artists, you know,
Wow.
phenomenal work, which we love. Let's have this coffee and have this conversation. So, every morning consists of me having an espresso.
Now I had to ask you about this, Bashad. This statue here of this American bully. Where did you get this overseas?
Poland.
Poland, yeah.
My partner Piotr had them made for one of the shows we had in Poland, the ABKC event we threw. And this what those were the trophies we were giving out.
Yeah, I remember that, man.
Yeah,
Those were
I remember
amazing
that.
trophies.
Yeah.
How hard was it to get that back?
As you could tell, it didn't make it back. It grew back in pieces.
Oh,
So
man.
the tail broke off of it. I mean, yeah, it was not easy. Dave wanted one too, so Piotr offered him one as a gift, and he had to ship it to him. And then it was not easy to ship.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah, you gotta be in a wooden crate. Quite expensive to ship.
Almost like shipping the dog.
Yeah, like shipping a dog, pretty much. You know.
You know, we was talking about earlier, man, about the involvement of your kids in this.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of times, you know, kids want to go off and do their own thing. But how important is it that, you know, have kids involved with a multi-million-dollar business that you
Well,
have?
come on. So my son, oldest son, is not interested in. So my oldest son is not interested in the dogs. He used to be when I was a child, and I guess he just got over them. So you have something all the time, you just get over it. He's not like me. But he is into the whole breeding thing, but he prefers reptiles. So he has, you know, lizards and reptiles and fish and stuff like that. So that's what he's been doing. That's what he's been targeting. You want espresso, right?
Yes, definitely.
Sugar.
I'll take it, yep.
So anyhow, so he's still into the breeding thing. Now my youngest son, he's involved in the business. I just gave him his first job. He's about to be 16, and we just picked up a Honda Civic Type R for him. That's the car he chose. I don't know why. I tried to get him a Supra, but that's what he wanted. He wants to work for it. So he has a job on the side, and you know, working at a pizza place right now in Michigan. And he wanted a second job, so I hired him to the marketing division. So I'm teaching him marketing, which is really important. So he's in charge of running the Facebook and Instagram ads for Muscletone, not the private page that I have, but the Muscletone part. He's also handling the food and supplements that we just released. So that's another huge item right now. It's about to go crazy because we have big companies who are involved with us who want to take our product on shelves. Product's unbelievable. It took us years to get this product made. I mean years. There's nothing out there that was doing the job, not for our bully breed. And we needed something to increase semen count, help with pregnancies, help with skin coats, gave the dog the pump they needed for a show, and all of these things. And you had to get them all into one small ingredient, or else you're popping like 20 pills into a dog's mouth every day. You got 10, 15, 20 dogs, and you're sitting there popping all these pills. It doesn't make any sense. When you can make into a treat, give it to the dog, done. Give him one treat a day.
Now, what's the response been behind that
Unbelievable. My partner from Kuwait is here, Mashari. I'll introduce you guys to him. He has a huge Middle Eastern corporation who heard about our product, who contacted him, and they want to buy thousands of bottles at a time. So they come in a little bottle, more like a bucket, but we call it a bottle. So they want to buy thousands of bottles at a time and start, you know, retailing them off the shelves of pet stores across the Middle East, part of Eastern Europe and Western Europe. So we're down for that. So that's a big thing. And my son is now in charge of some of the marketing. Obviously, we're assisting him hand by hand because he's still young, but he's a quick learner. He's a very smart kid. And cappuccino, it's espresso going. So that's what we're dealing with now when it comes to that. Now my daughter, on the other hand, it's her birthday today, and she's busy studying. She's busy getting ready. She graduates with a bachelor's pre-med at the end of 23, I believe. She's only 19 today. She's very smart. She took college classes while she was in high school at night. She had an associate before she graduated high school, and she is honor roll student across, you know, her whole academy that she was in. She was full ride, any college she really wanted. She's a very intelligent girl. different than my other boys. She's more in book smart, and she's very athletic and driven too. So she has a lot of different talents from different ends, and she wants to be more than that. She wants to be a doctor, so she's going for that. So she wants to be, I think she said a gynecologist, or I can't remember the other one, pediatrician. So she's debating between the two. I'm sure that will change in the next year or two, but definitely medical field's always what she's always wanted to do that since she was young. She's never shifted, you know. And that's the one thing I will say about my children is they're very consistent like me. When they like something, they always like it. They're always going in that path, you know.
Mm-hmm.
They don't jump from one place to the other trying to find themselves, which is really important. I think it has a lot to do with upbringing, you know. They see the consistency in their parents growing up, and they follow that path. So they have a guidance. They're gonna do what they're gonna do at the end of the day, but they're gonna do mostly what they see, not what you tell them. So we gotta lead by example.
Speaking on that, Bashad, how important was it for you though to see your son involved with this business? Because, like you said, you want to leave a legacy behind, and with the Muscletone brand, you want to leave it to your kids.
I want to leave a legacy behind. Will it necessarily be one of my children? I don't know. I have quite a few partners who I believe are very capable of taking on my legacy, who are younger than me. Eventually, with the years to come, Muscletone is definitely a legacy. It's gotta outlive me. It has to, or else what I do all this for, you know. Money is nice. I love the money. Don't get me wrong. I choose money over being poor any day of the week. I was poor. Trust me. When I say poor, I don't think most people know that word. Coming from a third world country, we have a different terminology.
Different perspective on.
Very perspective. I hear very often people tell me, "I work for everything I got. I have nothing." Blah blah blah. And I don't say a word because per their perception, that might be true. You were born in the United States. And you didn't have to worry about a bomb hitting your house when you first open your eyes or when you close them at night. You didn't have to worry about leaving the step of your front door because you might be shot because of what religion you are, or because of some indifferences some family members in the areas have with your family members that you never even met. You feel safe, and that safety is a big factor in life. When you talk about poverty, you know, it's not really poverty in the United States. Not the way we have poverty.
As compared to the world, compared to the world's poverty.
Correct. You guys can always have your hands on food. There's shelters, there's places, there's things. We don't have any of that. You know, when we're poor, when we say we didn't eat, we didn't eat. There's nothing to eat, there's nothing to eat. So when someone's stealing or killing or robbing someone to eat, it's very understandable in our country because there really is no choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially going through a period of time when war is so bad. So coming to America was like a dream. And a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they're like, oh, people come from these countries. Yeah, you're right. We come for opportunity because you guys have it made, but you guys don't realize how well you have it, like how good you have it. We want what you have. That's why we come here. You know, we want what you have.
Okay, we're gonna stop right there at that point, right? What do the world perspective think of Americans here? Do they think we don't take advantage of the opportunities here in America? As when someone who comes here with nothing, literally nothing. I've seen that happen even like, for example, with my barber came here with nothing. Mm-hmm. Build himself up to where he has a freaking mansion back in Jamaica now. I was like, oh, for just cutting hair? I was like, God dog, I seen this house. I was like, wow, a mansion on the beach. I was like, but he worked hard, saved his money up, literally just spent no money. And he was just like, you know, that's how we were brought up, you know, to work hard.
And that's huge. It's a good question. Let's sit down and talk about it. So it's a very good question. You want another one?
I'm good right now.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. That was a good pump right there. I like that.
So, you know what it is? It's at the end of the day, we have a different perspective at life. So when I was young, I never had any designer clothes. Shoes I was given were handed down to me from family members or second cousins, more pretty much to say that, you know, outgrew the shoes or the clothes, or they were given to me by, you know, local churches who, you know, people donated to. We didn't really, we couldn't afford to buy new things. I'll tell you guys a story that, you know, I actually told my wife about it the other day. I don't even think I've told my children. I went to a store with my father on my parents' anniversary one time. I wanted to buy my mother a gift, and he didn't have a lot of money to buy her a gift. And next door to that store, there was a little store that sold toys out of a magazine. You just pick the toy in the magazine, and they go to the back and get it for you. It's not like displayed. It's a weird thing that they had back home, and because people would steal them off the shelves. So I was looking at the magazine, just looking at the pictures, and there was a little Batman figurine, which was like probably one of the only toys in there. And my dad came everybody looking at it and was like, it's a Batman figurine. I'll never forget it. If you equivalent it to an American dollar, it was about $4 or $5 American value, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a little less. But that was a lot for us, believe it or not. That's not something that I could afford to buy me. So my dad's like, oh, that's nice. And he looked at the price and goes, wow, that's a lot. I said, yeah, I know, Dad, I'm sorry. I'm just looking at it. No big deal. It's cool, I don't need it. And one day my dad bought it for me. And I freaked out. Not in a good way. Like I panicked. Like I started getting PTSD. Like I started shaking like that.
Because you knew it was a sacrifice for him to do that?
Right, because I felt like we couldn't afford it. Like I was taken away from food and things that we needed. And I'm talking, I was like 8 maybe years old. I really freaked out. Like it was a very uncomfortable situation to receive a gift from my dad like that. And I think back about it today, I was like, $4, but it meant so much to us. Like it meant so much. Today I spent $100 grand, and it's like I don't think about it. I forgot where I came from, and it irritates me. My wife reminds me of that sometimes. She's like, you lost value, you lost the concept of value of money. I get offered the other day 20 grand to show up to a show out of the country. I was like, it's too cold, I'm not going. And I lost the interest in the value of the dollar, and I think that's bad. I think it's really bad. I need to reevaluate myself on that one.
Okay, let's talk about that. Because is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because you're not out there chasing every dollar that someone throws your way.
Baby, come sit with us. So, no, I'm not, because I like to enjoy life. And I just feel like I have enough financially to be happy that, I can't take my money with me when I die. I have financially enough to leave my kids behind. Could I do more? Yeah, I could do more. But then when are we gonna enjoy life? There's a debate my beautiful wife and I have all the time. Is, she's like, well, we can invest here, we can do this. She's always driven for more. She comes from that business background, and that's what I love about her. She came to the table with that mentality and an existing successful previous business before me. And she's really my guide, because I have, like I said earlier, I have lost the concept of the value of the dollar. I spend it very easily. I mean, our average dinners are what? Couple $100. What, how many? 5, 6 times a week? 7 times a week? Almost every day, $200, $300, $400 on food. And that's the minimum, food. We got guests, and we have guests all the time. Sometimes that bill's $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. And I just no concept, just order and pay. Order drinks and pay, just pay. And she's like, I just paid 20 grand off your card. I paid 14 grand off your card. I'm like, what? And it, like, before the month is up, I'm making a couple payments on the card already because it's about to be maxed out. So it just reaches a point, you're like, man, what am I doing? My accountant has a heart attack when he looks at my taxes. He freaks out. He's like, when he looks at my paper, he's like, what are you doing? And I need to grasp reality. That's why I told you the story of when I was a child that I was telling her about with the Batman figurine. It hit me back like, man, and yes, and we come from a country where we had nothing. And then we struggle to get where we are, and then we reach a point, and I think my first few steps of spending money on things that were not for the business or for the growth and investments, it was more like just for myself, was very difficult for me at first. It was like, I'm buying myself something. It was hard to let go of that mentality that I had being raised.
Of growing up that certain way.
But the reward of feeling so good spending it made me so comfortable along the years, and I'm like, I can't stop spending it, It's like, just spend it, just do it, right? Thank God we have a business that keeps flowing money in so that we can have that lifestyle. But yes, I hadn't taken it for granted. I have now become the Americans that I used to talk about who had it when they were young and never realized what they had. I have now become that man. And now I know why they are the people that they are, because once you have it, you lose concept of not having it.
You know, Bashar, with that being said, I don't know if your father's still alive today.
Passed away. My parents passed when I was young.
Now, when you were young.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna ask, what would you think his thought would be now to see where you are today? From that little boy who asked about
My dad
the
passed
Batman.
a little bit after I started with the dogs. And I remember when he found out I was spending that kind of money on buying dogs to do the business. I was already successful in other things I was doing, so he trusted in me, but when he saw me doing that, he did panic. What are you doing? These dogs? Who spends that kind of money on dogs? Nobody's gonna buy these dogs. Because he comes from that old school mentality that a dog is an animal in the street, that if you ever have one, we feed it outside, we don't let it in the house. That's how it is in the country, you know? But we couldn't afford to feed it, so we didn't have one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a dog for us is something we saw running the streets every day. You know, he didn't know anything about designer dogs or bulldogs, or he thought a dog was a dog. He didn't even know there was different breeds for a period of time until someone gave him a small little Shih Tzu. No, not a Shih Tzu, No. That's the Pomeranian or something. What's that?
Pomeranian?
Yeah, I can't pronounce that word.
You
I
can.
have a hard time with that word. So they gave him one. That's when he learned about breeds. So he really didn't know anything about it. So to him, it was a new world. And he passed before he was able to see the success of Muscletone. You know, but I do remember telling him, I said, Dad, just trust me. I know what I'm doing. And it wasn't the concept of that I knew dogs were a good business. I believed in me because I knew that I could make anything work. You know, so and that's.
Bashar, how important is it to have a good woman by your side?
Bro, the most important. The most important
Especially being involved with the American Bully. You see how many lives got ruined by people being involved with the American Bully. A lot of marriages broken up behind this.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because, you know, a lot of people use it as an addiction, you know. They're addicted to dogs. They put more time into their dogs than into their wives, or the wife into her husband. And I see this very often in the bully community and in other aspects in life, not only in the bully world. It comes down to you have to decide what's most important. This is the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. Okay?
Better.
This is the woman, when I'm old and my kids are gone and married, that's who's going to be by my side every day. That is my number one investment. That's my number one investment. If I lose that, what do I have? I'm going to be by myself. I'm going to chase chick after chick after chick. Who wants that? You know, the young brains who think it's cool, they think that way. The brain hasn't developed yet, right? They're still thinking with the wrong head. That doesn't pay off. That leads to nothing but trouble. Wasted money, wasted time that you could never gain back.
A lot of headaches.
5 minutes of pleasure, if that, how much headaches are you getting for that 5 minute pleasure? Is those headaches equal the pleasure you're getting? Or you can have a wife and have all the pleasure in the world you want and never have the headache with it, but you have to choose a wife that's right for you. And that can be different for every person, you know. We can discuss marriage and a whole other topic, but for me, it was James Lewis gave me the best advice in my life. Because I had past relationships. He said to me, Bashar, you know what you're doing now. You need to stop dating outside your financial bracket. I was like, damn, James, that's the smartest thing I've ever heard you say. I actually think the smartest thing anyone's ever told me. I was like, James is smarter than you all think he is. You know, he doesn't talk much, but when he talks.
Wow.
So, and I was like, that's some smart advice. And Trish obviously did not need me financially. She was very well off before me. And she didn't need anyone. She didn't need a man for that. She wanted a man to love her and be loyal to her and take care of her. And I wanted the same. You know, the problem is when you have money and when you live this lifestyle, it attracts a crowd of people who pretend to be your friends, to pretend they like you.
Oh, so you have to go through the layers to see, do they really care about me or they care about my money and lifestyle?
And even if they do, the fact that you know that they came from nothing, just the idea of you knowing makes you suspect that they have an agenda. They might not. They may not give two flying shits about your money.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know that because you've been lied to so many freaking times in your life. And you're like, how do I know? How do I know? You know what I mean? What am I being played? You know what I'm saying? You never feel that safety. When you don't feel that safety, you can't enjoy your marriage. You can't fully give yourself to someone you don't 100% trust. So to be able to trust someone, you have to be able to be with someone you know does not need you. Not status doesn't need you. You know they don't need you. You know that if they walked out that door tomorrow, there's not a single thing they need from you.
Great point.
And that's what I want. And I think a lot of people have lost that concept. They want someone to need them. No, you have to need me. You need to need me, because by needing you, they don't go away. No, I want a woman who can walk out without needing me. Because if she's still here, it's because she wants to be here, not because she needs me. And that's the huge thing. That's the big difference between the two. We used to have this conversation all the time when we first met.
I know.
I was like, no, she was like, you don't need me, you don't need me. And I'm like, no, I don't need you, but you don't need me either. That's the point. That's why this is good. And she had a hard time with this because she came from a relationship where, her ex made her feel she needed him, but she really didn't. But it was how he kept control of things. But I don't want that. I want to be with someone who just wants to be here, just wants to be in my company, right? So having a woman like that, and she loves the dogs, and she's business savvy, and she helps with the finance, I don't know what the heck is in the banks. She knows everything. I don't know what's in there. I don't want to know, because it stresses me out. When I spend money, I spend it. I'm happy. When she tells me how much I spent, I get depressed. I'm like, did I really spend that? Like, you know what I mean?
Does that bother you?
He's so bad. He's so bad. Like, he handed me the checkbook before we were married. And he says, here, just pay the bills. And I'm like, I'm not your accountant. And he goes, yes, you are. I'm like, oh, jeez. But it was not balanced. Like, I had no idea how much money was in the account. So I'm like, just keep paying bills? And he's like, yeah. Okay, you're putting money in, right? Because I don't know what he's got. We didn't share that information. We got married, and neither one of us even asked, how much money do you have? How much is in your bank account? What do you? We didn't even ask each other. It wasn't a question.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't an issue. We were both set with what we were doing. But
There was enough money in there. I wasn't gonna run.
I didn't know. I was like,
Not
okay.
anytime soon.
But he's kind of put me in charge of that. That's been great.
Wow. I got to ask you, Rashad, speaking of other countries and the things that you were talking about as far as war-torn, how close to home is what you see going on in Ukraine right now affecting any part of the Muscletone business?
None. Nothing happens in the world that affects Muscletone, because my clientele base is not affected by these kind of things. The shipping to that region of area. I know my partner in Russia is having a difficult time right now, shipping things in and out. I think it's temporary. I don't think the thing's gonna last very long. The whole Ukraine and Russia thing, it's many different versions of that story and what's really going on. I have friends in Russia. And Jeff Monson is a good friend of mine, and he's an American fighter, and he lives in Russia. Steven Seagal as well lives in Russia. All of these guys are Americans, and the stories you hear coming from them, and it's on a direct back and forth conversation with them, the reality of things, especially Jeff, who's been to Ukraine, who's been to the southern states and seen what Ukraine's done to them. And what you hear in the news are nowhere near the same. I have videos that Jeff sent me with Ukraine military doing some pretty horrific things that I don't even discuss, to the southern states, which Russia is trying to protect. So it's on two aspects. There is no good people in war. I don't believe that. They're both at war. And for it to end and stop, there has to be a mutual ground line of respect. And the problem is, you always have to look on who it's benefiting. And right now, it's benefiting Israel and the United States for the two countries to be at war. Because we're making money off of it, believe it or not, if you really think about it. And so for us to put an end to it, business-wise, does not make sense. But humanity-wise, it needs to end, because it's not right. Not everything's money, So I stay out of that anyways. I don't like politics. Can't do nothing about it. You can have your opinion, but in the end you can't change it, so why stress over it? But it's not really affecting me. Most of my stuff does not ship within that area. I have my partners in that area that are being affected, which I feel bad for, but we're there for them when they need something. We don't leave our partners to fall down,
Now, Bashad, you're a big opponent of the American Bully and the concept of Muscletone and the look that you're looking for and your vision of the American Bully. You remember the time when the exotics a few years ago really jumped aboard on the scene. A lot of American Bully breeders jumped on board with the exotic movement. What kept you away from the movement and maintain your focus with the Muscletone brand and the American Bully look with the muscles and the shoulders and the neck and the head that you envision, and not jump on the money train of the exotics?
Well, first of all, let's discuss why exotic even became to be something. Back in the day, the American Bully looked like a pit. And when I say 99%, I mean 99% of American bullies look like pits. You couldn't tell them apart. You couldn't tell them apart. And every now and then, you'd walk into a ring, or to a show, I should say, and you would have this one extreme monster. And everyone would look, damn, did you see that dog? And everyone would hate. Yeah, but he has a high rear. Yeah, but he has an underbite. Yeah, but he's bowed in the legs. Yeah, but he has easty-westy. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, I'm looking at the reindeer next to it, who has flaws as well, and no one's looking at it. And the dog that wins the show that looks like a pit, nobody's looking at it, because they're a dime a dozen. Nobody wanted that. So the goal from the beginning was to make a better, cleaner version of that extreme dog, okay? And what I thought extreme was 15, 16, 17 years ago, and what I think extreme is today is very different, because that 16 years ago extreme, if I saw it today, I'd give it away for free. But back then, it was the best dog you could see, right? So things had to change, they had to evolve. So in 2008, 9, 10, I would say, I had extreme dogs under 17 inches in height, which is everybody was trying to go shorter at the time, and had bone, muscle, neck, rear, conformation. They had everything. I mean, you guys can go back and look up all of these dogs on my website, and they're, you know, back in the, before 2010, before 2011, before Magoo was even born. Magoo's mom, for example. And no one understood what it took to make a consistent line of those dogs. So the rumor was that Dave Wilson, had bred to bulldogs in the past, and it's the bulldog gene that was coming out of the dog. Okay, I want everyone to pay really good attention. If you believe that shit, you're an idiot. I said it, you're a fucking idiot. Excuse my French babe. He did not do that. I know this for a fact, because I've bred these dogs for a long time, and I've never seen the stuff that comes out of your bulldog mixes that most of you are doing, all right? Mm-hmm. So, was there bulldog in the pit bull breed and the Staffordshire breed and the Staffy bull breed? Yes, that's why the word bull is in that sentence, right? Mm-hmm. It's mostly terrier and bull mix. They were fighting dogs. They weren't bred for a look. They were bred for a purpose. So there was never any consistency. There's still no consistency in pit bulls. You can see all different kinds of pit bulls. It's probably the least consistent breed on the planet. It really is. And now you took that breed and tried to make a consistent look out of it, but every now and then you would get a dog that had more substance than any other. It's like having 5 kids. 4 of them can be skinny and one could look like a sumo wrestler. It's just how he came out. Same mom and dad. So, somewhere along the line he inherited a gene that was heavier on one side than the other. Or maybe 2 genes that connected together. And the idea was to breed more of that, and that's what Dave was doing. All he was doing, he was line breeding the style of dog he liked, which was more on the massive side. And thanks to him, that's what everybody wanted, really. That's what the Gotti people wanted. That's what everybody wanted. He just happened to do it at a more consistent level at a period of time than anyone else, so he got hated on like every other person who's successful at what someone else is not successful at. So when they got kind of like pushed away from the UKC and the AKC talking about their dogs were overdone, well, then the ABKC was born. And we're not going to talk about the birth of the ABKC, that does not concern me, that it's on politics. But when the ABKC was born, that's when it was an era of time that I said, wait a minute, this is what I need. Because I don't want to breed this shit, I want to breed this. So I joined the ABKC. So I started registering all my dogs. I don't have any UKC dogs. People still call me today. Is a dog UKC registered? Why would my dog, I breed an American Bully. Why would I have a pit bull paper on my American Bully? Who the hell is using that? Exotic people, right?
Exotic, yep.
They have to. So which tells me that the UKC has no consistency in their pedigrees. Their pedigrees are all shit because they're saying pit bull on their dogs, and there's like Frenchie and English bulldog and everything else. So UKC lost complete control of the breed. If anything, the ABKC is doing their best to have control of it. And they do. They're doing a great job. I'll be honest with you. They're doing a great job. Have I had my disagreement with the ABKC? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Rashad, you remember the time though? The rumors were that you were part of the ABKC.
Yes. I remember the rumor. I was part of one of the ABKC. I was at the Rockefeller of the American Bullies and blah blah. I don't care about these rumors. Actually, I took them as compliments. A lot of them, to be honest with you. Kind of flattering. The Rockefeller, the American Bully. He's got a nice ring.
okay.
Yeah, who doesn't want to be Rockefeller?
Oh my God.
Come on.
Was
Who
he?
doesn't
Hold
wanna
on.
be
You was Rockefeller. Let me see. The puppet master. you pulling the strings
Yeah,
at the
one of the best
ABK.
is I owed half of the money of Magoo's sale to Dave. Dave
Yeah.
calls me up and goes, "Where's my check?" I'm like, "What check? What are you talking about?" He goes, "Apparently you owe me half the money." So all kinds of stuff people make up, man, is unreal. But to go back on the topic of ABKC, the reason we stuck with the ABKC was for the sole purpose that they were the leading and most organized registry for that breed. And they're the ones who started it. So a lot of registries opened along the way because of the disputes and misunderstanding with Dave. And a lot of them asked me to join and take those sides. I never left the ABKC, and it has nothing to do with me benefiting from anything, because I don't benefit from a registry. But I needed to choose a registry I can count on, because that registry backs my dogs up. If that registry fails, so do my dogs, because they're backed up by that paperwork.
Now, are your dogs the only ABKC registered? Only
ABKC registered.
Why was that? Why was that for you?
That's their business. Like I said, that piece of paper backs up my dog. My dog's value is based off of that piece of document. And this is a particular time where Europe was starting to. I already had dogs in Asia before anyone else, before Taiwan, before Bismarck even reaches Thailand. I already had dogs there. I was the first person to import an American Bully overseas. It was to Indonesia in 2004. Okay, nobody had a dog in Asia at the time. Not a real American. Excel was about 20, 21 inches tall. He was 130 pounds. He was a monster. And I sent him to a guy in Indonesia who started becoming the first Muscletone bullies overseas. Fortunately, that partner we lost, passed away. But that's how Asia discovered Muscletone bullies, and that's just started getting clients there, and worked its way to someone who was visiting in Asia, saw the dog, who was out of Europe, who had bullies. It's the craziest thing, and just one leads to another that contacts me. And when Europe started, there was a big thing in Europe that Dave had started with a gentleman who I will not name, doing some razor edge stuff, who was supposed to represent the ABKC in Paris, in France. And that guy was actually created his own registry that named it the EBKC.
EBK, yeah, I remember that time.
And Dave didn't even know what was happening, So I speak French fluently, so I was able to read the forums and understand what was going on. And I was like, what's this ABKC thing? So I asked him, what the hell is this EBKC thing? He didn't know anything about it. So when he discovered that this guy was actually using his name and telling people that the EBKC was a division of the ABKC so that he can get the registration money for himself, and he was screwing Dave got really upset. So they got into it. Now, that's the interesting thing. At that time, that guy started attacking my partner in France because he saw that he had some nice dogs coming from me. He started talking shit about Muscletone. And he started a forum, and they were insulting me, they were insulting my dead mother, they were insulting my wife. Anything they can insult to trigger me, nothing's different. They've all done it in the States too. And my partner was getting really stressed out. And I said, why are you getting stressed out? Who cares what they say? And he's like, oh, they're saying this and this about my family, and they're saying this about yours, and let them talk. And he was really stressed out. I was like, look, I'll handle it. I'm gonna respond. But after I respond, you don't say another word and you do what I tell you to do. All right. So I went on there and I said, I don't care about all these insults you guys are insulting me with, bringing up personal things about family members of mine you don't even know, never met, making up things that don't even exist. I go, the real thing is this. I have the baddest fucking dogs. I have the most extreme dogs. And I will take my bitches and I'll put them by your next best males, and I will outstack every one of your males. And if I don't, I'll give you $20,000. That's actually euros. So show up with your best males to the next shows. And I ended it at that. I sent 3 bitches to France. No one ever won the bet. Muscletone tripled in size, became the largest kennel in Europe within those 2 years of me doing that. By then we had Muscletone Italy, Muscletone Belgium, Muscletone Netherlands, and Muscletone Spain, and it just kept on growing. UK and Russia and Romania and Sweden, and it just kept on growing. And Europe just took over, Muscletone just took over Europe within those 2 years. And this is just when Magoo was starting to become big at the time. But these bitches, I said, was before Magoo was born. And they were 14, 15 inches tall, 80-pound females. It spread like that. Nobody had a dog like that. They had XLs that couldn't stand to that. So that's what made Muscletone. It wasn't running your mouth talking bad about the people, putting them down. It was by showing the best dogs you have. And that's where we are today with the most extreme dogs. And you've seen this the last time you came with a stack off with cash. You know, I mean, you walk back there, you see what we have.
Mm-hmm.
There's consistency all day. You know, have we surpassed Beanstalk? Not yet, but we're working on it.
But the crazy part about it too, like I was saying last time, you have bullies back there that could be in the ABK show ring, easily grand champ out.
Yeah.
That you don't show.
No, and I don't show, but I need to start showing them. I need to get back in the ring. COVID kind of put us a little bit behind, but I think people forget. There is no other bloodline that has extreme dogs with as many champions and grand champions as Muscletone does. And I mean, not by a little, by a lot. I mean, we've produced more big name dogs than really any other breeder in the world. Think about it. I mean, I could just name off my head: Magoo, Kaza, Beanstalk, Nemesis, Apollo, Claude, Bison, Lester, Smeagol. I mean, McGregor. The list goes on. It never ends. It just keeps on going and going and going. And we have so many big name dogs, and these are all dogs we're talking valued $250,000 and up. No one has that many extreme dogs. How many of these dogs are champions and grand champions? Over 70%. And a lot of them who aren't champions can be, just have not been in the ring yet. So we are trying to make the most extreme dog, but we're also trying to keep it show quality. It's not easy. You know, people talk a lot of crap. Oh, your dogs are unhealthy, they're too big, what are you doing to the breed? The same people who said that, I will not name them, their dogs are dead today. Babu's 12 years old. Kaza's 11 years old. Bean, I believe, is around 8. Apollo, 7. They're still here. And they're doing great. Knock on wood. God forbid anything happens to them. What else? All these people who talk crap, where are your dogs? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, dogs pass away. Things happen. I'm not saying that we never lost a dog. We lose dogs. Everybody loses dogs. But health-wise, we are doing the best that we can as men to make this breed better. We're not trying to make it worse, but we're trying to do too many things at once too. We're trying to make a more extreme dog, a healthier dog, a better conformation dog, a better character dog. So the character of a dog is very important to us because we don't like aggressive dogs. All these things, we're trying to make it one, and we're doing them step by step by step. This takes time. It didn't happen overnight. People have lost also not lost, but don't know how easy they have it today thanks to Muscletone. Because we've given them a foundation that they can breed off of that's really solid. We didn't have that when we started. I was dealing with terriers. I was dealing with reindeers. And I had to find my way out of those reindeers into an extreme dog, and the extreme dogs were so crippled that it was a shame to even breed them. So it's like, where do I go? Like, I go here, I get a
You're right,
I
because
get a crippled
I
dog.
remember during that time, because remember when ABKC had the extreme class, and there was a lot of going back and forth about should we allow these certain flaws in the extreme, and they decided we just gonna get rid of it altogether.
Magoo and Kaza were the draw line for the extreme class to disappear. When they came to the ring, champed out and grand champed out, Dave and the ABKC, and I remember Dave giving me a conversation call one time and asking me all these measurements on Kaza because he wanted to explain that this is what the breed should be. Kaza. People didn't like to hear that because people hated me. And you know, Dave always wanted to keep things as political as possible. Like, Bashar, you know, I love the dog, whatever, but you know, I'm not alone in the ABKC. You know, not everyone agrees with my opinion, which is fine. I understand his position in life. You know, so, and it's not important to me what they believe. What important to me is what I believe, right? So, at the end of the day, that is what drew the line that we do not need an extreme class. All dogs should be extreme. A pocket should be extreme, a standard should be extreme, and XL should be extreme. That's what it should come down to. Really just the height of the dog that breaks down into 3 categories. And that's really what it comes down to. That's all it is. All dogs should be extreme. The breed should look like Magoo on up, not below. You know? And that's really the way we're heading, and I think I'm seeing quite a bit more now than I ever did before.
I was going to ask you that because you go to the ABKC Nationals every year.
Every year.
And for people that don't know, that's probably where you're going to see probably the best example of American Bully is probably at an ABKC show and probably at the Nationals. With that being said, you've been through many throughout the years and even over in Europe. Has the look of the American Bully improved, evolved here in the States, and also compared to what you see over in Europe?
Europe was way ahead of the United States because I sent most of my best dogs to Europe first. I conquered Europe, the bully world in Europe, before the United States. And the reason I did it this way, Europe was a dead market. They thought they had the greatest because under the impression of certain people who were running the market at the time in that area, that they already had the best. When they realized they didn't, everyone thought they had the chance to get the first best dog coming from Muscletone. So everybody bought Muscletone. So I was like, okay, it's too hard for me to ship all these dogs from here. It's a lot of work. And I want my partners to benefit. So I started placing, at the time I was placing dogs overseas that were mine. And buying facilities and properties in Europe for my partners to work at, help them grow. And we conquered that area. Everything was Muscletone. You walked into a show, there's 100 dogs, 80 were Muscletone dogs. So you had 80 extreme dogs. When you walked into a show in the States, you had 3 extreme dogs. They were probably mine, no offense. At a particular time, it really was that way. Every now and then you might see 2 or 3 other really nice dogs walk into the show and you're like, oh damn, who's this? You know, and this was the time when I was leaving my yard because I was able to find some other bloods that had nice dogs, like Dax, for example, you know. And you go like, damn, that's a badass dog. I need to incorporate that in. That now I walk in, all I see is my dogs. Every now and then I will see a nice, massive dog, but I have a look in mind. And when I have used certain bloodlines, I've lost that look or I've lost certain health issues. So I stopped using those lines. So when I know where it comes from, I start them. Nope, I don't want that coming in. Does it mean it won't work? No, it could work. It's just not a risk I'm willing to take. I came too far to go back.
I was going to ask you about that because, you know, a lot of people always say they love to see the Muscletone Rocco combination. What's your thoughts on that? You know how you and Khan go back and forth about that.
Anyone ever seen the video of Bean and Rocco?
I just seen that this morning.
All right. So you have a 14-inch dog. It's about 80 pounds. Who made it? What is Rocco? 19-inch, 20-inch?
I would say, yeah.
At least 19, 20-inch. I would say about that number. I haven't measured it, but I've seen dogs.
I would say that because I took a picture with him still.
Yeah. I would say he's 19, 20 inches, at least.
He a big boy.
He's a big boy. When you have a 20-inch dog that you call an extreme, and a 14-inch dog, 6 inches shorter than you, is 6 inches wider than you don't have an extreme dog. I love Rocco. I think he's a great example of the standard. He's a beautiful American bully, beautiful champion dog. He's not Muscletone look. He doesn't carry the look I want. He's narrow in the front, his shoulders go out and sit underneath him. And if you look at his new dog on the other hand, I forget his name, little fawn dog.
You mean Khan's new one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot the dog's name though. Yeah, I like him. I like him. Colossus.
Bad-ass dog. Now, that is the first time I've seen anything from Rocco and be like, now we have something we can work with. That, on the other hand, is different. But everything else at that particular time was not of my interest because I don't need my dogs to go from this to this. I don't need that. I don't want that. That's not something I breed for. So I would never incorporate that into my line. But are they healthy? Yes. Are their conformation good? Yes. Are they great show dogs? Absolutely. Are they American bullies? Yes. Are they extreme? No. Not to my standard. Okay? So once upon a time, yes. His dogs would have been considered extreme. 7, 8 years ago, around the first Magoo era, they would have been in the extreme side. We've came a long way from since then here at Muscletone. So no, I would not want to go to that direction. Now, I have not seen that dog in person, but in the pictures and videos I've seen,
Beautiful.
that dog I could incorporate into Muscletone. That dog I would have no problem incorporating. And to anyone who's listening who always favors sides, they need to understand, I always speak truth. It's not a pride thing, it's not an egotistic thing, it's just the reality of things. You know, so when I say it as I see it, you know. If you get offended, I'm sorry, but it is what it is, you know.
A lot of people don't know, man. You and Khan always agree to disagree.
Yeah, I have no problem with Khan. I like Khan. I have no problem with Khan. Me and Khan got into it a million times. But I got in it with Dave. Still get along.
Yeah.
You know, I get with it. You get in with your brother, you still get along at the end of the day.
I got to tell this funny story, though, because everybody know how Khan is. I remember him and Big Kev, Midwest Monsters. I don't know, they had a little back and forth. And I don't know, I just like, yeah, I agree with Big Kev. Next thing I know, Khan blocked me and everything else off of me disagreeing. I'm like, I ain't got no problem with your dog. I love your dogs, man. Like, what's the problem?
I don't remember that. I remember that. I tried to stay out of the
yeah.
So I don't remember the controversy, but I will give Khan one thing. Big Kev ain't no joke. He's not somebody you fuck with. You know?
I know.
But Big Kev's a good guy. I mean, all of my dogs, people don't know this, Midwest Monster, all of my dogs have Big Kev's blood in it. Every single
really?
one of my dogs
Now, I didn't know that.
Midwest Monster in the back of the pedigree. Every single one.
Because you know how hard it is with Big Kev. He don't like to give his blood.
No, Kev don't do this the way I do this. Kev does this because it's a pride thing. Kev does it because, you know, it's his pride, it's his thing. You know what I mean? He does it for himself. Like, he's not willing to share that growth. Not unless he's got full control of it. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's his business mentality.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he runs shit, you know. But at the end of the day, Khan's like 5 feet, if that. Kev ain't no joke. Kev swallow him whole. Kev grab him like this one hand. But Khan ain't afraid of shit.
Yeah, Khan gonna talk his shit regardless. I don't care
Khan
who
ain't
it is.
afraid of shit. That boy can talk. I'll give him that.
Now, you know, one of the big things, man, we're here today. Again, biggest sale in American bully history. Before we get into that, let's go back a little bit. Back in time for people. At one point in time,
For this, bro. Baby girl, would you mind?
at one point in time, you know, the big talk was about that dog Prez Potter had at the time, White Rhino, and the biggest sale with the house and everything, 250, let's say. You come along, and I'll never forget to seeing Magoo in person at Dave's show. You brought young Magoo at the time down to Dave's. Incredible. He looked incredible. And I think a few months later after that, was it a few months later you sold him to?
No.
Or was it a year later?
Magoo didn't leave till he was almost 6 years old.
Was it that old?
Yeah. So the first time Magoo came out, he was 12 months. He champed out at 12 months.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like 75 pounds, 16 inches, approximately 15 and a half, 16 inches, maybe. Actually, no.
You're right, it was 6 years later. I'm just thinking back in time. Yeah, it was.
He was, and people were going crazy over him because he was really massive with a lot of bone. But the Magoo that finished out at 3-4 years old, 85 pounds, 16 and a half inches, is a whole nother animal than the one he was 12 months. But at 12 months, he was smashing everything already. And I think what at the time was Kaza came along. It was one of his first litters.
Mm-hmm.
And Kaza came off one of my extreme bitches that I had in Europe, who was outstacking boys. That bitch was 14 inches, 85 pounds. She was bigger than Magoo. Everyone asked me, get a picture of the two of them with Magoo. I'm like, hell no, I ain't putting that bitch next to Magoo. She'll destroy Magoo. She'll make him look bad. I can't put a female and make Magoo look bad. Even though she was my production, 3 generations, she really was a beast. She didn't have a big head though.
See, talk about that right there. That's part of the marketing right there, because people will mess themselves up by doing that.
Correct. So I couldn't put one of my girls with my older bloodline that was bigger than Magoo. Instead, what I need to do is make a better Magoo, or a better version of her, really, is what the goal was. It wasn't, I used to say this all the time, everyone's trying to better their males.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to better my females. I don't breed males to females to make a better male. I breed males to females to make better females. Because females is where it's at, clearly. So, at the end of it, when Kaza came, I remember people talking about his eye separation, as they always do. My dogs always start off close and they go out. And they're talking about his head. And but his body was unreal when he was a pup. And when he hit about 14 months, man, he was already in goose size. And short. And more muscle, and a bigger hump on his neck. What made Magoo, though, he was already famous, was that face. Magoo had a beautiful face. And that was one thing I love about Dax line. He made those gorgeous looking eyes, that beautiful jawline, that little hole right in the top of the forehead, which Razor Edge didn't have at the time. Gray Line didn't have, and all these other bloodlines didn't have, Gray Line didn't have. That started with Dax line. That really started with Dax. And I think it came a little bit from Barbie, but it really came from that era. It came a little bit from Romeo too, some of the appearances. Like I think the muzzle shape did, even though, you know, we owned Romeo, we bought Romeo, and he had a really bad underbite. Anyhow, so
in your opinion, was Dax the one that really transformed the early beginning of what we see with the American Bully now?
No. I think Dax line, what he did for Muscletone, is bring a more beautiful factor to the breed. I had massive dogs, but they were never as pretty as they are today. I mean, they were massive, but they didn't always have the prettiest faces, you know. They didn't have the prettiest muzzles. They had 26-inch heads all day long, 25-inch, 24 on females, 80 pounds plus, pocket class. I mean, that's a lot to have in the early 2000s, like 2010, 2011. Nobody had that. I had an army of them. I had maybe 30, 40 dogs like that, you know. At my house, I had 4 dogs under 14 inches. I remember people calling me, there's no way you got that. And I was filming them, like, live with them, trying to measure the dogs, you know, like, here, look, I'm measuring right now, right in front of you. And they're like, how could you have 4? There's like 3 in the world. No, there isn't 3 in the world. I have 40 of them across the world. You just don't know because you're focused on social media, and I'm not out there putting everything I have. You know? So, and I think that was one of the main reasons, one of the strategies I used when I was breeding is I didn't put everything out. I had a lot of amazing things, I didn't put it all out. Because if I overwhelm you with everything I have, I might discourage you and you quit. And if you quit, I'm not gonna make the money I'm gonna make in the future. Because if I push you to the point you're like, shit, Sean's way too far ahead, I'm done, I'm out.
Okay.
Well, that's not good for me. I don't need you to be out. No, I need you in long term. Because I want you to join me, do business with me. I make money, you make money. The next guy you bring along makes money. And it grows on and on like any big corporation. We need each other, okay? So marketing the dogs the way I did, making sure everyone stays on board as much as I can, and allowing the real estate of the breed to be worth what it is by raising the price bucket, you know, it was necessary for everyone, not just for me. This benefited everyone. Now people don't see that. They can't think that far, and it annoys me. But at the end of the day, I don't.
You know,
to think that far.
that's a great point there. Does that annoy you when you see people that you might say like, man, they have some really beautiful dogs and beautiful blood, but they destroying it by underselling it for what they are?
I haven't seen much of that recently. I used to see it back in the day.
Back in the day, a lot.
And I remember advising people very often, what are you doing? Your dog is worth more than that. And they would get mad. They think I'm telling them what to do. So I just stop. You know? People are going to do what they're going to do. You can't stop them. And that's why I put the breed, I put the price on my dogs the way I did. I remember when I raised the price of stud fees to $5,000, like in 2007, I think it was. I think it was Yoshi, went up to $5,000. 2007, 2009, sorry, 2009. I brought Yoshi to $5,000. Everybody talked shit. When I put my puppies up for $10,000, $15,000, everybody talked shit. Now it's the normal price. Someone had to do it. Someone had to do it, or else we'd still be selling dogs for $1,500, $500, or giving them on pup bag deals. Pup bag deals, that drove me crazy. Can you do a pup bag? No. What does it look like? I'm doing a pup bag deal. For what reason? You know? So, and that was the desperation of people just to breed their dog, just to get their. If your dog, no one's willing to pay for your dog, just fix it. It's probably not worth breeding to.
Have you done it?
Yeah, if I had a dog that's not worth breeding to, yeah, I won't even breed to one of my own dogs if it's not worth breeding to. I had dogs who have kept litter mates because I want to see which one turns out best. And the one that didn't turn out as good as the other one,
You got them
that
fixed.
dog never got pussy. Forgive my French. Ever. Never did a litter. Ever. Got rid of him. Sold him. Let someone else have him. Why would I breed the male that's lesser than the other male? No, I'm going to breed the best male of the litter. That's how I breed. I'm going to breed the best female of the litter. Now that I am where I am, it really doesn't really matter if I breed the brother or the sister because the consistency of the gene is very different now. It's very consistent. I get a litter, there is no second picks. 6 dogs, you can't go wrong with any of them.
You know, just going back and thinking about that, like you said with the breeding and the early beginnings with the Muscletone brand, you probably saw a lot of scattered.
A lot. You'd have a litter of 12, one nice dog, and then the rest of them all look like reindeers. All of them. You wouldn't even want to keep a single one. You have that one dog. And you know what's going to happen is that one dog is going to barely produce because none of his litter mates look like him.
So the key is this consistency throughout the whole
It has to
litter.
be consistency, and it took time to build that consistency. Magoo, everybody talks about Magoo being one of the best producing dogs. Yes, Magoo at that particular time was the best producing dog because nobody produced Kazas and Beans and, you know, all of those dogs. So was he and Sirach, the list can go on. But how many children did he have to make to produce those kind of dogs? You know? So for Magoo to produce I say Magoo had about 45 or 50 unbelievable offspring. I mean, unbelievable offspring. But he had 200 offspring by the time he hit that number. So it's a 25% success rate. Now everybody talked about, Dax had like 50 or 60 also. Dax had 2,000 offspring. What's the percentage?
Much lower.
Right, that's what you gotta look at. When Kaza came along, Kaza hit around that number by the time he had 80 or 90 offsprings. So he's at a higher, maybe closer to 40 to 50% success rate. When Bean came along, he was on the Kaza rate, maybe a little more, maybe a 65% success rate, you know? And then came Beanstalk, closer to the 90% success rate, which is a big number, which is, I didn't ever think I would ever achieve that number. So Magoo being, you know, as you go back to the biggest sell, there were sales before in the 6 figures that were before Magoo. Magoo was the highest, you know, $750,000, followed by Bean and by Kaza actually at the time, which was $1 million, and then Bean being $1 million.
Go back to the Magoo situation.
Yeah.
When you got that call from Nan in China, how serious did you think he was at the time?
Well, I didn't get the call from Nan. I got the call from another person in the Philippines, I believe it was, who was friends with Nan. And Nan wanted Kaza. He didn't want Bean. Kaza was, this particular person was actually a judge. And he had advised Nan to buy Kaza because of all the dogs he had seen in the States. He told him he was the best dog he'd seen. I wasn't ready to sell Kaza. So I offered him Magoo. And we negotiated the price. It's done, bro. By the way, this is my partner from Kuwait.
Partner from Kuwait.
Ashari. He actually brought down 2 Beanstalk hospitals, which we'll discuss
How's it going,
in a minute
Prashad?
about.
All right.
So, anyhow, so that's how the whole thing went down. So, I always take everybody seriously. I've had people spend all kind of money with me. I didn't, So, at first I didn't want to announce it, but then I knew that marketing-wise it'd be a good thing to announce, Because I don't announce all of my sales. I do 6-figure sales all the time, monthly basis. So, we went ahead and made the announcement because it was a record, it was on the news. It was on ABC News, I think it really was. Yeah, it was NBC News. No, it was on CNN. My bad. It was on CNN. Who's on CNN? So it went pretty viral, and that it brought a lot of controversy, which I love controversy because
Controversy sales.
Controversy sells. Exactly. So, and it brought a lot of hate. But I found it very interesting that the people that talk so much crap about Magoo, once he arrived in China, they love him suddenly. on his weight. So when I owned them, you hated him. But now that he's in China, you love the
You
dog.
love him.
Right? So, and it was interesting. And then the hate started on Kaza, you know, because they knew Kaza was the next big thing. So they would Photoshop Kaza to make him look long and high in the rear. It didn't matter how many videos I would post of Kaza, conformation on a table, on the floor, on a chair, even. I put him on 2 chairs just to stack him up to show people he was straight. Video after video to show his stop line, to show his angulation, to show that the dog was actually a really quality dog. They preferred to believe that fake Photoshop picture that someone posted up of him that went viral. And at first I kind of like couldn't understand the mentality of people, but then I realized it didn't even affect myself one bit. It actually increased him quite a bit. It increased him so much that people overseas who couldn't understand English and didn't know what people were saying, all they saw was that Photoshop picture of Kaza and said, "Do you own this dog?" Literally showing me the fake. I said, and at first I was going to defend my dog and say, "Hey, by the way, this is a fake picture of Kaza. Here's his video," you know? But I just responded, "Yes, I do. I want to buy the dog. How much?" I said $1 million. "Okay, let's do business." That was literally the response.
Wow.
Thanks to that picture. And I'm like, man, these guys keep working for me. I'm like, every time they attack me, somehow God blesses me with their attacks. So I stopped caring after that. I was like, no, let them do their thing.